Hello everybody, welcome back to another tropical update here by Agent Weather Forecast. We already now have officially Invest 94L. This actually happened unexpectedly, and I was actually watching the tropics here for the southeastern coast once again, and it actually has now become Invest 94L here. So this could very well become a tropical depression at most, maybe even post-tropical storm Dolly. We might even have Dolly here. So this would be our third name system that could affect the Carolinas so far this season. So this is a 10% chance in the next 5 days here. So we'll continue to monitor this closely. It's already have now up to maximum wind to 30 knots for some of these areas. We have some really strong winds already in the system, so this could very well become something. We're continuing to see these models tracking this as well. We're going to be looking at the timing, also the precipitation, the strength, the conditions, and also we're going to be talking about whether this thing can actually become a tropical system. But without further ado, let's get this video. Also, be sure to smash that subscribe button to show your awesome support. And also, be sure to like that, hit that like button so I know that you guys enjoy this video. But without further ado, let's get this video. So here you have our one system here, our one invest here, our disturbed weather here. It has now a 10% chance in the next 5 days here. We have disturbed thunderstorms in this area, the defined low pressure system off the coast of South Carolina, and we have a small area for potential development, including the Carolina coast here, including portions of North Carolina and South Carolina. This is also including the areas where we had tropical storm Bertha landfall for the northern coast of South Carolina. Right there, it's going to be including that area where Bertha affected these areas, especially also Arthur affected the Outer Banks. So we can be seeing a lot of catastrophic flooding already with saturated soil. We're going to be seeing some strong gusty winds, and maybe some very active seas. So could very well see some rough seas. Also, we're starting to see a lot of cloud cover already from this invest. So this thing is not too far from affecting land, and whether it's subtropical to storm or depression or an invest, it's going to make a landfall. And it's going to affect the Carolinas for the next coming days. We already have a marginal risk for today, including the Carolinas due to the severe weather of the outer band of this Invest 94L. Now let's go and check out the satellite imagery to see exactly where the system is. Alright, so this is where the system is right now. Here we look at satellite imagery here. This is where this disturbed weather is right here off the coast of South Carolina. We're seeing some strong, disturbed, severe storms, thunderstorms, and rain disturbed areas of storms and rain that could very well become tropical here. So this is where we're monitoring. As you see, this cloud cover is starting to really dense up a lot. So we are starting to see this system thickening and increasing in size. As I said, this thing could continue to bring very dense cloud cover already for portions of the southeastern coast. As you see, all of South Carolina is under some cloud cover, especially this area right here. Very dense cloud cover. And also as well for portions of North Carolina. You guys are also going to start getting some dense cloud cover. And this cloud cover starts to move all the way to Florida. So this system is bringing a lot of cloud cover. So that's why you're seeing abnormally extremely cold conditions right now, because the sun is covered. We're seeing some windy conditions as well for these areas right here. We're seeing very windy conditions because of Invest 94L. I'm actually seeing 12 miles per hour right now. That's not most likely not from Invest 94L, but really windy conditions are right. Starting to see some windy cloud conditions for portions of the coast due to Invest 94L. Maybe this thing could look a lot more tropical like by the next 24 hours. Now let's go and check out the timing and where the system can go. But before we do that, let's go and check out and see how favorable the conditions are. So here we are looking at SSTs for the tropical Atlantic. As you see, the system's going to be right here for the southeastern coast. So this is where it's most likely to affect these areas right here. Actually, that's a little too thick of a pen. It's going to be affecting these areas right here. As you see, we're most likely seeing up to 25 degrees Celsius, 26 degrees Celsius water temperature, which are in the high 70s, almost 80 degrees. So as you see, these waters aren't too cold actually compared to when it was Arthur. These SSTs were kind of the same thing for Arthur. So we are seeing some favorable conditions, but not the most favorable, as we're not seeing 29 degrees Celsius or anything like that like in the Caribbean. But really, the thing that would really be very favorable if it actually had to Arthur Arthur path, where it actually goes like this to the Outer Banks. That is where we have 26 to 27 degrees Celsius. But I think it's going to be possible making landfall in the North Carolina coast there with 25 degrees Celsius, maybe even 24 degrees Celsius. So the conditions, this becoming post-tropical Dolly, is very slim. We have generally based on usual, we have a little bit unfavorable water temperatures here, as especially since this thing's barely gonna be in the water. Like it waters like just it became infamous just off the coast of South Carolina, so it's not gonna have like Cristobal days in the warm waters. As you see, Cristobal went like this little boomerang like turn, and then went like this. That was Cristobal, and it was only a tropical storm when it made landfall. And this has within less than a day and a half, really less than 2 days, to actually do something. But it also, the thing is, it's going to bring more flooding. So this is definitely going to be something that the systems that aren't really strength-wise bad, but like condition-wise, like rain and rusties, that will be the really main threat for if this does become a tropical system. As we now look at the path and also the strength of the central pressure, this thing's not looking to be really anything major. As you see, it might make landfall within the border of South Carolina and North Carolina for the next 24 hours, or maybe more like 30 hours here, at 1,014 millibars. So this thing most likely won't even be post-tropical storms. It all depends. And then, as you see, all in all, this is really the cone of where it will most likely will go. So this is really our cone right now. So this is most likely gonna, obviously, almost 99.9% of them all is due to it affecting U.S. soil or landfall. As you see, this cone kind of winds down to this general area right here. This is basically our cone right now. So it's definitely going to affect South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, even all the way to the mid-Atlantic, but maintaining above that 1,000 millibar, even maintaining above that 1,010 millibar strength. So millibar wise, the thing's going to be very weak, but obviously it could very well change. Like Arthur did a huge jump to 15 miles per hour, and also millibar strength, and we'll see exactly what happens there as well. Let's go and check out another model intensity guidance. So this thing just became an invest not too long ago, so we don't have any models on this, but we have a pretty good idea that really we have 4 models on this. So obviously there's a 25% chance, or sorry, there's a 50% chance here and the 50% chance for that. Really, most likely we have 2 outcomes: tropical storm force winds or below that. So it's a 50-50 possibilities. But we have now 4 models, and as you see, this is where we mark that this black line right here marks tropical storm force winds, and it marks tropical depression or post-tropical force winds right here. As you see, we have 4 models: the LGM, the IVCN, the DSHP, and the SHIP model. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. As you see, 3 of those models show it going above tropical storm force winds within the next 12 to 16 hours, which of course is below, or actually before landfall. So that means 3 out of the 4 models do show it becoming a tropical storm, which means we have a pretty good idea that this could very well become post-tropical. It will have those tropical storm force winds, but it'll be most likely post-tropical. It won't have all the resemblance. So this most likely has a 75% chance as of right now to becoming a post-trop or becoming named. There's a 75% chance of being named, and a 25% chance, which is still a pretty good number, 25% chance for not being named and maintaining tropical depression, or just a really non-tropical force winds. Now let's go and check out the models here, exactly what they say. Here we are looking at the GFS model here. As you see, in the next 6 hours, this thing is becoming, 6 hours we have that very, a lot of rain right here. This is exactly why it is disturbed weather here. This is exactly why the National Hurricane Center is taking a look at this. Low pressure is going to be most likely right here off the coast next 6 hours. It's going to continue bringing rain way ahead of time, all the way into portions of Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina. You guys are going to get a lot of rain before this is become most officially is over U.S. soil. As you see, next 18 hours is when this thing could very well make just before a landfall, maybe when it becomes a tropical storm force wind or becoming post-tropical or being named Dolly right before landfall. That's going to be affecting portions of North Carolina, including the Outer Banks, Greensboro, Raleigh, all those areas, Durham. You guys can get really heavy rain, and then next 24 hours it officially most likely makes landfall. And extremely huge probabilities for extremely heavy rain, and then that'll move off into the mid-Atlantic and bring extremely amounts of rain for the next coming days. Let's go check out the CMC model, which has also been pretty good with the tropics this year. So this is what the CMC is showing here. So let's actually go back here. So the next 6 hours here, we have that low pressure system at 1,015 millibars sitting off the coast of Georgia or off the coast of South Carolina in the middle. This is kind of exactly where Bertha was at this point. I know actually this is exactly kind of where Arthur was. Bertha was most likely right here. But here we have it. We're starting to see really heavy rain. That's exactly why we have a marginal risk for severe weather so far for this day 1. And then it can make a landfall by the next 24 hours to that low pressure system we're seeing right here at 1,016 millibars. At this point, bringing very heavy rain for South Carolina, North Carolina, and also Virginia. So those states are going to be the ones that are getting really the heaviest rain. Georgia, Tennessee, Florida, you guys can kind of avoid this rain actually, which is actually pretty good. And then it's going to be moving really heavy rain up the coast of Virginia, up the coast of North Carolina, and even the mid-Atlantic. Now let's go and check out now the precipitation, see exactly how much rain we'll be seeing. So this is what the models are showing for the amount of rain here. Let's go ahead and scoot that up a little bit. As you see, we can very well see up to possibly 5 inches off the coast of North Carolina. And in general, Virginia, North Carolina, you guys are going to hit the hardest. You guys can see 2.5 to most likely 4 inches of rain, so that's not too shabby. But obviously, this is really within 24 hours of landfall, so it could very well change. Here we are now looking at the 10-meter winds here. So as you see, very strong winds, like I said, very strong wind along the coast with that low pressure very far off the coast. So this thing's really bringing some really strong winds already up to possibly 24 knots for portions of the North Carolina coast. And then there it is, bringing very strong winds for portions of the mid-Atlantic. GFS isn't really showing much. CMC is actually showing a bit more here. So CMC, this is now the next. This is current right now. As you see, we're already seeing it to possibly 30 knots. Like I said earlier in the video, we're already seeing 30 knots in this system. So it's not tropical depression as of now, but this is not too far off becoming a tropical depression, as we think could very well be becoming a tropical depression by the next update here. As we're seeing already 30 knots, and then it's going to bring very strong winds, most likely off the coast of North Carolina. Could very well be one-sided here, like most systems, like Bertha and Arthur were most likely one-sided for most of the track, but they became two-sided, or generally the regular pattern, like when it actually passed the U.S. soil or U.S. coast. Now we're seeing exactly how much wind shear there actually is in the atmosphere, and this obviously for people who know, wind shear is a lot of wind shear is very unfavorable for tropical systems, as it does slow down the process, and it actually tears these storms apart. It tears these storms apart, makes them kind of blow over, and also a lot of wind shear can also keep it off its track. So if we have a specific cone like this, that a lot of wind shear can either push it to the east, push it to the north or the south. The system can very well do a weird track like that and then fall apart. That's exactly why wind shear. You don't want a lot of wind shear here, basically. But currently we're seeing a lot of wind shear in this, or a decent amount of wind shear. Not a lot, but a decent amount of wind shear for the higher atmosphere currently for the southeastern coast. And you see that's where the system is right now, most likely right there, and it's heading like that for the next 24 hours. And you see we're seeing up to possibly 50 knots in the higher atmosphere here, which can very well possibly slow down the process of the system and maybe making landfall before becoming post-tropical or being named because of the wind shear slowing down the process or making it fall apart. And then once it makes landfall, and this is when it's most likely in North Carolina, we're going to be seeing very little wind shear for North Carolina, so then this thing probably won't weaken as fast with wind strength. Hope you guys did enjoy this video, though. Please do not forget to like and subscribe. I'll keep you guys updated on Invest94L, exactly what we can see, what we expect, and also new information. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and bye, guys.